I want to talk about a subject that near and dear to my heart, recommender systems. If you remember, I actually spent the most of my time finding and scrolling imdb.com and amazon.com was these have a recommender system, things like recommender for you and things. I did movie recommendation for people, so this is something I know a little about personally, and I hope that I share some of that knowledge with you. So what do we mean by recommender systems? Well, like I said, Amazon's a great example with one that I am very familiar with. So if you go to their recommendations sections, and you can see that it actually will recommend things that you might be interested in purchasing based on your past behavior on the site, and that might include things that you bought, and among other things that I might use as well. Cannot go into the details because they are all do bad things to me, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. You could also think about that people who also bought features as Amazon as a form of recommender system. The difference is that the recommendations you are seeing here are based on all of your past behavior, whereas people who bought also bought, or people who viewed also viewed. Things like that are just based on the thing you are looking at right now, or the thing you are thinking of buying right now, and showing you things that are similar in that you might also be interested in. It turns out what you are doing right now is probably the strongest signal of your interest anyhow. Another examples from Netflix. So they have various features that try to recommend new movies or other movies you have not seen yet based on the movies that you liked or watched in the past as well, and they break that down by genre, and they have kind of different spin on things where they try to identify or the types of movies that they think you are enjoying the most, and then show you more result from these genres. That another example of recommender system in action, and the whole point of it is to help you discover things that you might not have known about before. So it is a pretty cool, it gives movies or books or music or whatever a chance to be discovered by people who might not have heard about it before. So it's cool technology. It's also kind of levels the playing field a little bit and helps new items get discovered by the masses. So it plays a very important role in today's society. At least I like to think so. So there is a few ways of doing this. Let's talk about recommending stuff based on your past behavior. Our technique is called user-based collaborative filtering, and here how it works. Collaborative filtering, by the way, just a fancy name for saying recommending stuff based on the combination of what you did and what everybody else did. So it's looking at your behavior and comparing that to everyone else's behavior to arrive at things that might be interesting to you. Think you have not heard of yet. So the idea here is that we build up a matrix of everything every user that I have has ever bought or viewed or rated or whatever signal of interest that you want to base this system off. So base a scan with a row for every user in my system, and that row contains all the things they did that might indicate some sort of interest in a given product. So picture a table. I have users for the rows, and each column is an item that might be a movie, a product, whatever else. A web page, you can use this for many different things. Then I use that matrix to compute the similarity between different users. So I basically treat each row of this as a vector, and I compute the similarity between each vector of users based on their behavior. So two users who like mostly the same thing would be very similar to each other, and I can then sort this by those similarity scores. So if I can find all the users similar to you based on their past behavior, I can then find the users most similar to me and then recommended stuff that they liked that I did not look at yet. Okay, so let's look at a real example and it will make a little bit more sense. So let's say that this nice lady here watched Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and she loved them both. So we have a user vector here of this lady liked, gave 5 stars rating. More specifically sorry, so let's say Mr. Edgy Mohawk man comes along and he also watched Star Wars. That's the only thing he's seen and he does not know about the Empire Strike Back yet. He lives in some strange universe where he does not know that there is actually many Star Wars movies. Growing every year in fact, but we can say, well, this guy is actually pretty similar to this other lady. Both enjoyed Star Wars a lot, so their similarity scores probability fairly good. And we can say, okay, well, that has this lady enjoyed that he has not seen yet. The Empire Strike Back is one, so we can then take that information that these two users are similar based on the enjoyment of Star Wars. Find that the lady also like Empire Strikes Back, and that might be a good recommendation for Mr. Edgy Mohawk man, and we can go ahead and recommend him the Empire Strike Back and he will probably love it, because in my opinion it is actually a better film. But I am not gonna get into geek chorus with you here. Now unfortunately URL-based collaborative filter has some limitations. When we think about relationships and recommending things based on relationship between item and people and whatnot, our mind tends to go on relationship between people. So we want to find people that are similar to you and recommend stuff that they liked. Kind of the intuitive things to do, but it's not the best thing to do. One's problem is that people are fickle, their tastes are always changing. So maybe that nice lady in the previous slides had sort of a brief science fiction action film phase that she went through and she got over it, and maybe later on her life she started getting more into dramas or romance films or rom-coms, right? So what would happen if my Edgy Mohawk guy ended up with the highest similarity to her just based on her earlier sci-fi period? We ended up recommending romantic comedies to him as a result. That would be bad, right? I mean, this is some protection against in terms of how we compute the similarity scores to begin with, but it still pollutes our data that people's tastes can change over time. So comparing people to people is not always a straightforward thing to do because people change. To other problem is that there is a lot more people than there are things in our system. So 7 billion people in the world and counting, there is probably not 7 billion movies in the world out of your catalog. So the computational problem of finding all the similarities between all the users in your system is probably much greater than the problem of finding similarities between the items in your system. So by focusing the system on users, you are making your computational problem a lot harder than it might need to be, because you have a lot of users. At least hopefully you do if you are working for a successful company. The other problem is that people do bad things. There is very really economic incentive to make sure that your product or your movie or whatever it's get recommended to people, and there are people who try to game the system to make that happen for their new movie or their new product or their new book or whatever. When you are basing this on your user relationship, it's pretty easy to fabricate fake persons in the system by creating a new user and having them do a sequence of events that likes a lot of people popular items and then likes your items too. This is called as stealing attack. Stealing. We want to ideally have a system that can deal with that. There is research around how to detect and avoid these stealing attacks in user-based collaborative filtering, but an even better approach there to use a totally different approach that's not so susceptible to gaming the system. And we will talk about that in our next lecture. There is a way to flip this on its head and actually do better than user-based collaborative filtering.